Well, good morning, everybody. It really feels like a Monday today. Not sure about you. Certainly does for me. We're going to try and have a conversation as a community this morning about the game against West Ham yesterday. The great chances that we created in the first half. The awful finishing that we saw in the first half. The lack of a reaction in the second half. I don't even know what word you want to use to describe VAR, but it feels more like corruption than anything else. It's not going to be corruption, but it's just I'm speechless on what VAR is. All right, and that's not the main talking point from yesterday, and it won't be the first thing I focus on or the main thing I focus on here today. And I will speak about all of those, but I will be speaking mainly about Ten Hag. Manchester United now with one win in the last 8. I think conversations should well be had about whether this is the end or not. And I'll give my opinion in my video. I'll be doing it at lunchtime today, and I'll be focusing on your opinions here this morning. As a community, so please fire in your comments, your questions. I will run through everything. Comments from Ten Hag, comments from Gary Neville, the game itself, on VAR, on the finishing, on Bruno, on Dalot, on what goes. It's going to be a busy show. Jonesy, we're way past the point of calling this a therapy room. I ended that a few weeks ago. I don't know what it is anymore. Just a load of alcoholics turning up to the pub at 10 a.m. every morning. That's what it is. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, Carl. Alex, you're there as well. Josh, you'll be there too, and probably there hiding as well. I can't see you. Probably there. JC, Akash, good morning to you. Teresa, Damien, Chris, Ray, and on Facebook we've got Wayne, Edred, Andy, Co. We've got Matt Frost. Good morning to all of you. That's what it feels like watching Manchester United. Can I just quickly say something before we start the show? I was going to say this in my match reaction yesterday, but I didn't. So on Saturday night, unexpectedly, me and my partner Susie ended up spending the entire night in A&E. Susie had some pains in her stomach. Turns out she had appendicitis. And at 10 p.m. last night, she had surgery. All went well. But that was my build-up, and that was our build-up in the lead-up to that game. So I was on edge yesterday anyway, going into that game. She's all right. The surgery went well. So just send some well wishes in the comments. That's what I'll say. But that was a weekend, an unexpected weekend, I think. I wouldn't exactly say the result was unexpected. But boy, yeah, it's been a busy couple of days. Rather unexpected as well. Now, let's talk about the football, unfortunately. Right? You know where we are in the league. I have to zoom out, right? I have to zoom out to get us in. 14th in the table. Played 9, won 3, drawn 2, lost 4, a -3 goal difference. 8 goals we have scored in 8 games. And that game, and this is why I said after the game, honestly, I was exhausted after that game. I really was. Because that game had all the elements of the good football I've been wanting to see from Manchester United. The chance creation, the kind of putting the pressure on West Ham. Still, the press was absolutely crap. Even West Ham comfortably played through our press. Did we win the ball high up the pitch? I'm not really sure we did it once. You know how frustrated I am about how crap our press is. And again, it didn't help the game. But how United played in that first half was excellent. And we'll speak about the finishing next. But football, and when I spoke about the development that we needed to see, that was a non-negotiable, in my opinion, in these 7 games between the last international break and the one that's coming up in 4 games' time? Something like that. Said that we need to see lots of important development. Ultimately, results are the be-all and end-all. There's no point talking about the progress that you saw in the chance creation in the first half because you lost the game. You only scored 1 goal. So that's not really progress because the results don't follow. And that's where United are right now. 1 win in our last 8, 14th in the league, 21st in the Europa League. Whoa. Can you just fight? Can you? Where do you stand? Right? Where are you right now? Mentally, where are you right now with Erik Ten Hag and with Manchester United? All right. And I'm also going to run through a little bit later. I did a community post yesterday, right? Where I asked for opinions there, and lots of you left comments, so I'm going to pull those up into the show as well. So thank you all for leaving comments. The lows miss was horrendous, says Russell. No development. That's what hurts the most. Johnson saying, I'm tired about the coach and the United board. It's just, I don't know. Alex, I did see Martinez's comments. I'll run through those a little bit later, but it's just like, I don't really care what any player has to say right now. If I'm being totally honest. Now, that might be a harsh thing for me to say. Jeez, man. Wow. I've not seen that name before. Right? I'm me. You are you. I'm me's gifted 50 memberships to kick off the week. Now, if there's 50 of, well, there are 50 of you now. Can you please just come into the Discord? I feel like Discord is one of the only safe places now. I'll drop the link down here, right? Samuel, you're saying that you're exhausted. Honestly, that's exactly how I feel. Because that game yesterday, by the time that VAR nonsense happened, it should have been 3, 4, 5, 6-1. Go on then, West Ham. Have a little penalty. Go on in. I actually feel sorry for you, so there you go. Have a penalty. Why not? But instead, that was the winning goal. Right? And Gary Neville, speaking on the Gary Neville podcast, said this about Erik Ten Hag now. He goes, the pressure will be unbearable if we lose to Chelsea. Go down here and we see what he's saying down, what actually Gary Neville said. Also think that anybody that's half decent that can play well will beat this United team. West Ham were not half decent. West Ham were as awful as I expected West Ham to be. And they won 2-1. I just think that anybody who's half decent puts their shoulders up and has a quality, which Chelsea have got in parts of the pitch, and Man United are in danger. I don't think there can be another defeat on Sunday at Old Trafford. I genuinely don't. I don't see... I don't see where things change now. And I think that's why I think it's the end of the road for Erik Ten Hag. All right? I do. And I think that game against West Ham just epitomises just kind of how big the problems are. Because even when the team creates brilliant chances, you still can't score. And there's no point speaking about luck or speaking about VAR, because even when it works, it doesn't work. And that's the point. Like, this is what I mean when you try and step back and you go, okay, well, if this was to happen and that was to happen, like last season, a lot of us were kind of under the impression that if Manchester United had our players back from injury, then a lot of the problems that we saw last season wouldn't exist and things would be better. Now, I don't really think that it's not as if we hadn't had injury problems this season. Like, Lenny Yoro still hasn't made his Manchester United senior debut. Well, first team debut, competitive debut. Mason Mount. There's no way that I can look at injuries and go, well, if those players were back in, these problems wouldn't exist. Well, maybe if we tactically set up differently. No, because the first half against West Ham was brilliant. The second half against Brentford was brilliant. And the first half against Crystal Palace was brilliant. And in those 3 games, we drew one, won one, and lost one. So I can't point towards how we play as something that's going to change momentum. It's just, I can't see how the momentum shifts under Erik Ten Hag anymore. I can't look at injuries. I can't look at tactical changes. I can't look at players finishing better because, well, they can't be trusted right now. I don't see where the momentum comes from. And therefore, it feels like we're heading in one direction and have been for a while now. Rex, you sent a super chat saying Ten Hag needs to go, but these players are responsible for a lot of what has gone on. I'm at a loss of where to go from here. And ladies and gents, right, I'm going to run through each aspect of the game yesterday. I'm focusing on Erik Ten Hag right now, but I'm soon going to be speaking about the finishing. And then we'll be speaking about VAR. All of these contributed to the loss yesterday. But the main talking point, of course, is Erik Ten Hag. Bavesh, you're saying it's always a game of two halves. Why can't we perform for 90 minutes? Now, there's something that I saw yesterday which really resonated with me. And I've never actually, if I'm being totally honest, I've never looked at football in this way. But I think it's so spot on. Now, I don't know where I saw it or who said it, so I'm not claiming it. But they said that when it comes to a game of football, the first half is all on the players. And the second half is mainly on the manager. And the logic of that was, well, going into a first half, you've been training all week, you've been working on your tactics, you've been working on your approach. Everything has been done. The preparation is there. A week's worth, 3 or 4 days worth of preparation is all there for kickoff. And you know that therefore it's up to the players to execute the plan that they have been working on. And that's why when it comes to the first half, it's mainly up to the players to do what they have been training to do. And then the second half comes along. Now, if what was working or wasn't working in the first half needs to be changed, then that's where a manager can spot that and say, okay, well, how about we tweak this? How about we tweak that? Everything that we worked on, not quite working. Now, you could say it worked perfectly in the first half, and it did work in terms of chances being created, but the finishing wasn't there. And West Ham's switches changed the shift of the game. Now, Ahmad came on quite early, but the shift from Ten Hag in terms of changing the game in the way that West Ham did, it didn't really come until we conceded. And then we started playing differently. And it wasn't really about, just change one player in and out and all of a sudden that'll change it. It'll be like the way that we attacked shifted. We played a little bit more direct, and that's how we scored the goal. Ball over the top, headed back in, I think, by Delo. Xerxes down to Casemiro, and we got a headed goal. So that sort of stood out to me. I thought it was a fair comment. If the first half is all about the players in the second, and that's what really annoyed me about yesterday. I told you there's never any problem in life if you make a mistake once. Make the same mistake more than once. You're just not learning from it. Game against Crystal Palace. Man United dominated the first half. Should have scored 2, 3, 4, but we didn't. We came out in the second half and played the exact same way. Palace reacted. They closed up gaps. They improved from the first half, and they probably should have scored in the second half. And a draw was a fair result. It's exactly what happened against West Ham. We dominated the first half. Second half came along. Paqueta went off. Should have been sent off in the first half, by the way. Yeah. Todibo came on. They controlled those balls in behind that they couldn't in the first half. And therefore, Manchester United didn't have anything. So West Ham and the changes they made shifted the momentum of the game. And we didn't. It's exactly what happened against Crystal Palace. Tommy's saying, sack Erik Ten Hag and the guy responsible for our lack of finishing takes over as interim. Change manager at the end of the season, if necessary. There is absolutely... Well, I can't put that definitively. But we're 14th right now. I very much doubt that INEOS are just going to just plod along until the end of the season with the way that things are going. And Erik Ten Hag also said this after the game, right? And this made me step back a bit, right? Erik Ten Hag here is saying, look, last year was not that different to what this year was like, but in the end, we turned it around. Eric, mate, we did not turn it around last season. We got beaten up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times last season. and then we won the FA Cup final. That doesn't turn things around. No Manchester United fan will be looking back at last year with any sort of fond memories. It was the lowest we've ever finished in the Premier League. Of course, that's a lie. Look, we won the FA Cup, sure, but it's like getting. I don't know what analogy to use to describe that, but that is so wrong. To try and say that last season was not turned around because of the FA Cup. It was a wonderful end to an awful season. That's what it was. So to try and use that as an example of what's coming forward here, it's wrong. Yeah, look, I do not see how Erik Ten Hag turns it around from this point. I can't put my finger on anything that I think, well, if that happens or if this clicks, sure, if the finishing is better than Manchester United are not in this position, but the finishing is what the finishing is, and it has been that all season long. We are 9 games into the league. We are 3 games into the Europa League. This is the current norm. And look, form is, when it comes to players, man, form is everything. As soon as Jose Mourinho was sacked and you looked at this team and you're like, I don't know what's going on. Awful. Ole came in, boom, 5 against Cardiff. Boom, Manchester United had the most amazing 3 months. The exact same set of players. And I will speak about the players now, but just, that's why they say that scoring's the hardest thing in football. Because United, we did everything against West Ham. As soon as, you might say this is Captain Hindsight speaking, but as soon as Garnacho hit the crossbar, I was like, it's going to be one of those days. Jason, Sam, how can you blame a manager for the player not taking one-on-one chances? You cannot. And that is firmly on the players. And I've already spoken about that a little bit. I'll speak about that next. But I'm not focusing on West Ham. I'm stepping back, my friend. And I'm focusing on this. I'm focusing on the last 8 games, the 1 win in 8, Manchester United in 14th, 21st in the Europa League. I'm not speaking in isolation just about the problems that we saw yesterday. It's just that they're not the first time we've seen them, and I don't think they'll be the last time we see them. Alex, you're saying this phase feels similar to when Arteta had Arsenal bottom of the league, but given time, he turned it around. Look, no. I think I've said this a million times. I don't know why anybody... Oh, look at what Hansi Flick has done at Barcelona. Oh, Arteta had time. Who gives a crap? Stop speaking about something that has worked in other football clubs. We are not other football clubs. We're Man United. What's worked over there doesn't work over here. I'm not saying that anything that we're doing right is working, but just stop that. It's just such a, it's, in my opinion anyway, it's such a foolish way to look at football. It really is. Oh, but look how shiny that thing is over there. Why can't we have said shiny thing here? Circumstances and context are totally different. Right, I'm going to go down here and read some more of your opinions, all right? I asked this on community post yesterday. What do you think happens now with Erik Ten Hag? Okay, I'm going to read some of what you put. Rob Penny, you're saying, I wanted him to succeed so badly, but unfortunately, I really think he's taken us as far as he can. Thanks for the 2 trophies. CEO786 saying, we keep going until the summer is normal and give Erik the time and player he needs. Feels like a troll. Camo. He created a system that puts our attackers in so many good positions and they cannot score to save their lives. His methods would work with any other team. Our players have no leader and they don't want a leader. Roy Keane would have had so many of these jeez. We're speaking about Roy Keane now. Ten Hag deserves better so much as I love him, wanted to stay for 10 years. He should go to it. Wow. Boy, Camo's drunk the Kool-Aid. This is so true for me. I remember being there for the Newcastle game. That whole day, that whole League Cup day was just an awesome day. Good friends, going to the final, great weather, control. I loved that final, and it just felt things clicked. And Hooky, right? Someone's just left a super chat here, and I'm so glad you've done this because I keep seeing this. Insanity is trying the same thing and expecting different results. And the worst thing is, I don't know what thing we're even going to try and do. Can I just say this here? I don't know where this comes from and why this keeps getting repeated among United fans. The definition of insanity is literally not trying the same thing and expecting different results. Go and Google it. Look in the damn dictionary. Why do I keep seeing people? It's just like one thing that gets like taken as a truth, and nobody can be bothered to look at the truth. They just, go on in. Yeah, we'll take that. I don't see how INEOS continue with Eric Ten Hag from this point. All right? I can't see it. I think Eric Ten Hag was fortunate to, well, I personally felt that it was give him until November, until this international break, to show that the development and the progress is there. It's not there. It's not there. Even when you see the progress and development in the football, it's still not there. Matt, it's not even a quote from Einstein. Go and have a look. Again, just do some reading. Ba, 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 ba. Boo. I think people just... boring. Let's repeat the same things over and over and over and over again. Boring. We are a cup club now, are we? Yeah, we're doing really good in the Europa League. As I said, just feels exhausting. John, if we sack Eric Ten Hag now, we're doing the exact same thing. I can't bring anything to the table anymore. I'm looking at this. This squad is significantly better than the results that we are doing. Now, of course, if Manchester United found the finishing, it would have been so much better. All right? I don't need to tell you how crap we've been in front of goal. 27 big chances we've missed this season. The difference between the expected goals and the actual goals we've scored is the highest in the Premier League. Nobody. Literally nobody. Not Ipswich, not Southampton, not Wolves, not anybody down the bottom of the table is worse than Manchester United. That's how ineffective in front of goal we are. And Eric Ten Hag was right here by saying that we played well in that first half because we did. But my word, let's talk about the finishing. Let me read a couple of your comments out down here. Tom saying, INEOS must be strategic. If progress is present but too slow, will a change expedite our success? I don't think so. Progress is not present. It just isn't. Because results aren't there. It all boils down to that, man. Ultimately, that's what it is at the very top. Without the results, you can't open the door to the conversation about anything else. You can't speak about how good we were in that first half with the chance creation. It doesn't matter, mate. You lost the game. Oh, but look, it doesn't matter, mate. We scored one goal. We were good in the first half against Palace. It doesn't matter. We drew 1-0. We were better against Fenerbahce. It doesn't matter. You drew 1-1. But we're getting there. Well, we've won 1 out of the last 8, and we're 14th in the league. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. When the results are not there, you're not really allowed to speak about progress in any other way. Because progress is defined by the results that teams get. Arsenal, they've improved massively over the last few years, and they've won absolutely sweet FA as a consequence. Great progress. I'm going to read some of your comments out down here. Richard, Sam, why are the players not feeling this in the marrow of their bones? That feels like something, I don't know, in the marrow of their bones. I never see the anger and the wish to turn this around. Again, in the second half, United, all of a sudden, boop, as soon as they scored, boop. Simmy Skim saying Sam is finally waking up. It's not a finally waking up thing, man. It's just that after that game on Sunday, I was properly exhausted. Well, first thing, I was up all bloody night. Secondly, I was just exhausted because just the game had everything. Like all the chance creation we could possibly have asked for, and it still didn't bring the goals. And it had the second half where we dropped off, and the frustrations that come from it. And then they scored a goal, and then all of a sudden United, we played again, and we got the equaliser, and then all of a sudden on top of that there was a 90 whatever minute penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty. And it just had everything that you didn't really want to see. And for somebody who prefers to be an optimistic in life, I just prefer to say glass is half full. Glass is half full. I've just got nothing. There's not one element of that team that I can say if this and this improves, then everything will be rosy. The momentum is just, yeah. That's what it feels like right now. Jibak saying, we're past seconds. The idea was that we get better with new direction. Don't know who can pull us through this mess or what progress for us is anymore. I think one thing I would say is Barada and Ashworth, when Eric Ten Hag was back to the start of September, that was the conversation that happened at Old Trafford before the Liverpool game, I think. And they made it clear that the decision to keep Eric Ten Hag happened before they came in, but they agreed with it. And I agreed with it. This isn't captain. Look, and there's plenty of you that did want Eric Ten Hag to be sacked at the end of last season. And I understood your point of view. I just disagreed with it. Okay? Coming into this season, off the back of the FA Cup, if we didn't turn the season around, but if you can use that we showed that we can do it against City. In the big games, we can do it. Have a good summer, which I think we had a good summer. Build on that. Have less injuries. Let's see what this team can develop into this season. And we just haven't even slightly developed. There's been the first half against Palace, the second half against Brentford, and the first half against West Ham. 3 halves of football where I can pick out and say, that looks pretty good in terms of how we're playing. But then against Palace and against West Ham, the finishing was atrocious. And it really was. Against West Ham, man, that is... you will not see a worse finishing display from a team with that has the quality of Manchester United. And, yeah, I know you're right down there. This team is less than the sum of our parts. And it's exactly what I said there about towards the end of Mourinho, you looked at the squad, you're like, it's disgusting. Then Solskjaer came in, boom, all of a sudden you're scoring 5. You're having the best 3 months with the exact same players. Because a lot of football is, a lot of sport is mental. You all know this. And anybody who plays sport will know it even more. You need that mental strength. And as soon as I hit the bar in the second minute, I was like, it's going to be one of those days again. And then that miss there. That's got to be miss of the season. That has to be miss of the season. What a ball from Bruno. Great touch from Dalot. Keeper's off his line. Almost felt like match fixing at that point. Seriously did. Alex, you're saying to the Erik Ten Hag out crowd, what makes you think his replacement would do any better with this squad, and who is that person? You know, we all know who that person is going to be. It would be Ruud van Nistelrooy until the end of the season. I'd be really, maybe not until the end of the season, just on an interim contract. I would be amazed if it was anything else. Past that point, that's down to INEOS, and INEOS have shown that they take their time. Sometimes you feel, a lot of United fans feel, to the detriment of United. But INEOS will not. If they decide to move on from Erik Ten Hag, it won't be a new manager coming in within the space of 2 weeks mid-season. That just will not happen, in my opinion. I think he would go. Ruud van Nistelrooy would come, and then you're looking at Ruud and you're going, I imagine there'd be a Ruud bounce in the same way there was an Ole bounce. Ole wasn't exactly experienced, was he? But the energy changed when he came in, and the players just started playing just like they enjoyed themselves. The exact same thing would happen under Ruud. And we all know that these players are significantly better than how we are playing. And so much of it is there. So much of it. And it can't be down to the fact that we aren't teaching these players. These players should know how to finish. Instinctively. That's what attackers do. You don't have to teach attackers how to attack. It's nature to them. But finishing is all up there right now. When you look at when you're taking a penalty and you're full of confidence, the goal looks huge. When you're taking a penalty and you are nervous, you feel your heart beating, the goal will look tiny. The goalkeeper looks huge. Oh my God, what should I do? Should I put... You start questioning things. I just can't see for the life of me where a turnaround comes from. Where the shift in momentum and a little shift in direction comes from. Could it come from a nice, confident win over Leicester? Well, we beat Barnsley 7-0, and if that's not going to give you a morale boost, then a cup win at Old Trafford is not really going to give you a morale boost, is it? And it didn't. Because we followed that up with the goal-scoring performance against Crystal Palace. Imagine that. We played the first 45 minutes of football after winning 7-0. Was that first half against Palace where we just couldn't finish? Straight after the game where we just scored 7. I just can't see where the shift is coming from. And that's why I don't think that Erik Ten Hag's got long left. I can't see a shift in tactical approach or a shift in personnel or a shift with injuries that's going to turn Man United's momentum in the opposite direction. That's my opinion. John, a few chances converted and the whole thing changes. That was the exact same conversation. How many games ago? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Honestly, it's the Palace game and the West Ham game. It's like a top and tail. If only Manchester United converted a few more chances against, then it would be different. We drew the next game. We lost the game after. We drew the game after. We drew the game after. Great second half against Brentford. We drew the game after. We lost. All of those games have come after where Manchester United should have converted more chances, and we didn't. We haven't. So how is it going to happen now? Ryan, you're saying, I believe we'd be setting up another manager to fail if we hire someone else right now. I feel we're doomed either way. I think a lot of United fans feel like that. And I'll be totally honest, I think that's a big reason as to why INEOS wouldn't make a mid-season appointment. Because that would be damaging to anybody. Even if we went I'm not having a conversation about different managers, right? Even if they brought someone else in and they brought them in mid-season, then that manager is then tasked with, without a pre-season and with games coming up immediately, to all of a sudden turn things around, flip it on its head. And if a manager can't do that, then all of a sudden that manager's crap at his job as well. Whereas in reality, that's a really, really tough set of circumstances. And the expectations would be unfair. So if Ten Hag is replaced, the only thing I can see happening is Ruud on an interim contract. And then the conversation will be, well, how's it any different, Sam? How can we think that? Whatever... we cannot just continue down this path that we are currently treading and we have been treading. It's not about that. It's not about just not converting chances anymore. The progress isn't there. I asked for development. I said after that game against Villa, there's 7 games where Erik Ten Hag has got to show this development. The second half against Brentford felt like United. That will be something that brings a bit of momentum. That will shift it. Nope. 1-1 away at Fenerbahce. Another massively frustrating European night. Don't worry about that. We'll go and we'll beat West Ham. They're vulnerable. They're down in the dumps. Right, we'll have a great first half. We won't score any goals. Second half, we'll carry on. West Ham will change it. Then they score. Don't worry, we'll equalise. Great. VAR. And then the VAR nonsense comes in. And that's what I mean. Right now, you can't look internally, I don't think, for any sort of... maybe this will change. Maybe that will change. All right, well, then you probably just get a little bit of luck. You know, because sometimes your luck can change things. No. When it rains, it pours. That's what that VAR decision was. And the fact that I'm 38 minutes into this show, before I speak about this, that is indicative that this was not the biggest problem yesterday. This is not the main headline. This is just an, oh yeah, of course that happened as well, conversation. Because, of course, that happened. Nobody in their right mind, their logical mind, I don't even know what way to describe this decision. Michael Oliver he's just decided it's a penalty. He's not following a rule book. He's not following anything. He's just gone, nah, fancy giving that as a pen. The referee on the pitch, right? You may as well call him the assistant referee now, because he's not a referee. There was no way that, what's his name? David Coote, I think it was. There was no way that once he was called to the monitor, he was going to override the senior official. It's like calling out your boss in public, whatever you want to call it. I don't really remember seeing any West Ham players' hands in the air, screaming at the ref. And the thing I found most confusing, I thought that with VAR, play had to stop while footage was assessed, and then they decide whether a ref has to go over and carry on. Had the ball just not gone out of play at that point, so it carried on? I can't remember. There is so much to hate about modern football. There really is. But the way that the Premier League have managed to balls up something that was supposed to improve a game, that was supposed to make it a little bit more impartial, has done the complete opposite. Wayne, you're saying, I blame Coote. He needed the balls to say it's not a penalty. Nah, man. There's no way. That's the hierarchy. That's the system. He's part of said system. He's never going to go there and do that. It was just what? Look, as I said, there's no way that this is the main talking point from yesterday, but it's just like you go, right, okay, cool. So you can't even look at luck as to a point where, well, if that happens, if this happens, then that'll turn things around for United, because that won't. You can't look at a lucky shift or a change. And truth be told, when you're playing well, when your confidence is up, you get more luck as a consequence because you're trying more things. You're more active. You put yourselves in more situations where you can get a little bit of luck and a little bit of deflection. It can. That's just a personal opinion, but I feel like it happens more when your team's riding a wave of momentum. I think a little bit of luck can come alongside it. If you're down in the dumps and you're sort of just doing a Hail Mary and hoping for a bit of luck, your luck's not really going to come. Joe's saying, what was the pen given for? Pretty sure they called it a foul from Delict. They won't scrap the system. This is just football. Yay. Joy. Wonderful. It's going to happen again. What are they going to change? Sweet FA. This is just part of the modern game. And all we'll do is moan, moan, moan about it. Because it won't ever change. This is just part of modern football. All right. I'm going back to it again. That miss from Delo. Had United buried their chances in the first half, all the conversation of yesterday is completely changed. Everything. Everything. The tactics were right. The approach was right. Mentality was right. The pressure, not the pressing, was right from United. And then we just couldn't score a goal. And then as a consequence, West Ham were allowed a foot in the game. We opened that door to them by A, being crap with our finishing in the first half, and B, by not switching things up in the second when they did. Led to the goal. We got the equaliser because all of a sudden, United go, oh, we should probably start playing football now. Oh, forgot about that. And we scored a goal to a very different style of attacking compared to what we had in the first half. And it worked because West Ham weren't ready for it. Whereas West Ham were ready for us to attack in the second half exactly how we did in the first half. Personally, I don't see where the shift comes from anymore. Right? I just don't see where it comes from. I wish I could honestly agree with people in the comments. Some people that saying, so if the finishing is there, then everything changes. I wish I could hold that opinion anymore, but I can't. That was the case against Crystal Palace, and we have won one of these 7 games that have followed, which tells you that the patterns will not be changing. And the patterns just keep repeating, and then that game there, just to compound the misery. Look, it's all down to, like, Barada and Ashworth, as I said, they weren't in charge when the decision to keep Eric Ten Hag for one more season was made. That was made by Jason Wilcox and Dave Brailsford. I think they were I think that was like the football leadership team at the time. And my opinion is if Erik Ten Hag was to be replaced, and right, truth be told, the cost of replacing Erik Ten Hag is going to be a big factor in whether Erik Ten Hag is replaced. So I think it would cost somewhere in the region of around about 15, 16 mil to get rid of him. And this is a club which is, can I just say this, right? I saw this at the weekend. I'm like, this is how pissed off United fans are at the moment. Like they're gonna get pissed off by anything. If United were winning, this wouldn't even be a story. Nobody would even be speaking about it. It's like you're just getting offended at everything because you are on the edge right now. You are on the edge. Who gives a crap if United asked City if Mainu and Garnacho can go on a flight? Players share flights back from international duty all the time. Oh, it's different. They're going to a Ballon d'Or. It's not different. It's not even slightly different at all, in the slightest. Had they done it, there would probably be a contrasting article saying, oh, United are doing cost cuts, but then they've hired a private plane for Garnacho and Mainu, and the same people would have the same negative energy towards that. That's what I think about that story. Yeah, I think I am on the edge. And speaking of it, opposite of that, we end on a little positive note, all right? Because Chido Martin made his full Manchester United debut of the weekend, and he scored a hat-trick within 15 minutes. The under-16s won 6-0. The under-21s won 2-0. Just go and watch the academy teams, peeps. If you watch the academy teams right now, you will enjoy yourself being a Manchester United fan, especially the under-18s. Flawless start to the season, won the treble last season. Some players have moved up into the under-21s, but Jim Thwaites is coming through. He came from the under-16s, scored a cracking free kick. Ibrahimov is playing. Shea Lacey's in there. And Obi Martin is there, scoring a 14-minute hat-trick on his debut. Go and watch the under-18s, all right? You will enjoy watching them play. Anyway, that's one way to introduce yourself as a Manchester United player. Jim Thwaites last season played for the under-16s and has come through into the under-18s now and is doing just as well. He's stepped up. He's nailed it. Under-19s, yep, they won this week 5-2. Just don't watch first team. Just... I don't even... James, you can't call United a soap opera. Well, you probably can, actually. That's a complete lie. Yeah, it is drama everywhere. And as I said, I was just exhausted is the only word I could use to describe it. But I'm waffling now at the end. I'm going to wrap this one up. Look, I'm going to do my lunchtime video. I'm going to try and get my opinion across on Erik Ten Hag in full in less than 10 minutes, because I know not everybody's got 50 minutes to join in the community conversation. Yeah, but I don't see where the momentum shifts from now, because the patterns just seem embedded, right? Okay. Let me know what you think. Well, you've already let me know what you think in the comments. Please join in tomorrow, and we'll try and continue the conversation. Of course, we've got Leicester on Wednesday, and results, wins, turn things around. Just we've only had 1 in 8. Take it easy, everyone. And thanks for all of you who sent in well wishes to Susie. I'll let her know. Much love.